Thank you for watching Truth and Justice with Vivian King. As you know, this is a show that I started in 2011 to try to educate people about the criminal justice system. I get so many calls in my personal life wanting to know, why did this happen? Why did that happen? And I think that it's important to give back and educate. We can't solve your problems tonight, and I can't be your lawyer. I'm a proud member of the Harris County District Attorney's Office effective January 2017. After 22 years in private practice and 3 years previously of being in the District Attorney's Office. But tonight, we're going to educate you about Mr. Morris Jackson's case. He wants to tell his story because he feels like he was wrongfully convicted, and we are not passing judgment here. Tonight is Mr. Jackson's opportunity to exercise his First Amendment right to freedom of speech, freedom of expression, to tell how he feels while he acquiesced to the criminal justice system. Also, I'll have my routine co-host, my church member, Mr. Danny Sneed, who is formerly incarcerated 15 years, and he's here to share his experience. Now he's a proud member of the Veterans Administration, ex-Army gentleman. And we're going to turn it on to you, Mr. Jackson. Thank you for calling and wanting to share your story so that we can learn through you.
First, I'd like to thank God, and I'd like to thank you and your staff for giving me an opportunity to speak. And I'd like to enlighten the society of what occurs behind closed doors in our justice system.
It's hard to follow sometimes stories, so I'm gonna take a personal privilege and make you start from the beginning. So I know you're a 63-year-old gentleman, still looking good for your age.
Thank you.
And you tell us how you started. You're from Dallas. What type of upbringing did you have?
I was like 14 before I could stop going to church every day. I went to church every day until I was almost a teenager. You know, my grandfather was a Baptist minister, and my grandmother was holiness. So they go 7 days a week, you know, and so in between, I went every day. So I basically had a very strong religious background, you know, and I knew right from wrong, and I practiced it, and it had helped me to overcome all the obstacles that I have to cross in my life. You know, it lets me know that nothing's impossible. You know, put your faith in God and not in man, and you will succeed on a lot of things that you can't do without him.
So at 14, how did you get the privilege of not going to church every day?
Well, I just started being rebellious and going around my cousins. You know, you have other family members, you know, you want to go around them. And we all grew up on the same street, you know, and I had an aunt that was like my mom, and she had like 16 kids. You know, it was like, I was like a spoiled kid, you know, and to go down there, it was so adventurous, you know, to have so many people to deal with. And, you know, it was just a wonderful upbringing. I used to, didn't understand how blessed I was, you know, to have a childhood where everyone cared about you, because I look at our society today and no one really cares anymore. You know, everybody's into me.
Absolutely, it's a different world. Let me ask you this. So once you had this loving, caring, religious family, were you able to graduate from high school?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
What year did you graduate?
I graduated in '73.
And what did you do after graduation?
I started my own business. I always was working. My people raised me to believe that I could work for myself instead of someone else. So I used to haul sheetrock, shingles, and lumber, and you know, I had various enterprises. I would get me a rent house, and I would get me a car lot, a club, you know, and do various things, you know, to give back. Then I started to learn to give back. You know, it's a blessing when you're able to give. You know, God has blessed you to pass it on. And I was very thankful that I was raised to pass it on. You know, because at the end of the day—
Take us to teens and 20s. What were you doing?
Same thing, workaholic. I mean.
No trouble with the law?
No, I did very good.
Did you ever go into the armed services?
I tried. My health wouldn't let me. I have asthma. I wanted to go into the buddy system. That was my dream. I wanted to go in the Air Force, you know. But during that time, you know, you had to pass the whole physical. You couldn't have just the academic skills. You had to have the physical skills too. And now, you know, you can do it academically. You know, you don't have to do the 3 miles. I can't run around the block, you know, much less, you know, 3 miles, you know. So it was very, very, because my best friend, he retired from the military. He's a master sergeant. They gave him a booth in Florida. He retired up there. Very, very beautiful thing. No, I always wanted to
So your
travel.
asthma stopped you from going to the services. So you were
I always wanted to
self-employed.
travel. I always wanted to travel. You know,
So
then,
tell us about the 20s. Your 20s.
my
Working.
20s?
You're working. Did you get married? Have kids? What'd you do in your 20s?
My mom used to threaten me. I was such a bad kid that the whole neighborhood, you know, that mom used to threaten me all the time, like, you just wait till you have bad, you know, just wait. And I said, well, hell, I ought to think about this, you know, before I just, you know. And then you had to fall in love, you know. And I was chasing other things, and I never took the time to sit down because I was raised to believe that if you got married, it was a done deal. It wasn't a replace her 6 months or a year, you know. You're supposed to be there the rest of your life, you know. And I'm thankful for that because it stopped me from having a lot of unnecessary heartaches because if you're not ready, it's something you shouldn't do.
Right.
You know,
So your
you have a
20s
lot.
you worked, and then what happened? What happened in your 30s?
I got in trouble.
Oh, so when did you first get in trouble?
I was like 30, right at 32, 33, somewhere there.
Tell us about the trouble.
I was in San Antonio, and I was hanging out with the wrong type of people, and I found out some things I shouldn't have known. And I went to trial and got thrown away because I thought I had rights. That's when I still thought I had rights.
So what did you get charged with?
I got charged with burglary of a building.
And so you got charged with burglary of a building. So that means that somebody accused him of unauthorized entry into a building
Right.
without the owner's consent.
Right,
So
exactly.
you saying that you didn't go into someone else's building?
No,
without
no,
their
it was no evidence of that either. That it was just the way that they treat us now.
Okay, well,
No.
I don't want to talk about that first. So let's talk about that, but I'm talking about did you or did you not go into the building without
No, ma'am.
the person's
No, ma'am.
permission? So how did you get picked out based on what you can tell?
From what they said, an informant, because I wasn't at the scene. No, I suppose they had an informant supposed to told them this here, and then another person supposed. So when I took it to trial, that's when I found out I don't have rights, because how they go.
I don't know.
Well, no, it's just that our system is so whereas if you're black and you have an all-white jury, I mean, it's a done deal.
Did the informant testify in the trial?
No.
So who
The,
pointed you out and identified you as the person who entered the building in that trial?
Nobody. The sergeant testified that he didn't know anything. It was just that they do this on a regular basis. It's not the first time.
I know, but I don't want you to
Okay,
in. I
but
want
yeah,
you to
right.
be real specific.
Okay, no
If you
one.
remember.
Yes, ma'am. I didn't have any witnesses.
So no witness said he's the one that broke into that, I saw breaking into that building. Was it any fingerprints to prove that?
No.
And how much time, what kind of punishment did you get?
I got 75 years.
Oh, wow.
For burglary of a building?
Uh-huh.
I didn't know Bexar County was that tough. That's where
I
I
didn't know
came from.
burglary of a building carried that much time.
It don't. That's how messed up it is.
But that's not the same case
Yeah.
that you're complaining about.
No.
Okay. So then how much time did you actually have to do on 75 years?
6.5.
And that was from a jury.
Yes.
And then after the 6.5 years, so that means you're still on parole for that.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So what happened after that?
I just got back out and I started my own businesses and I was doing real well. And then I had
Where were you
this-
living? Were you living in Bexar
Dallas.
County?
No,
So you
Dallas.
paroled to Dallas County?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then what happened?
I had started my own business and I had a scrap company. And I started hearing rumors from when I would go and sell the scrap that the people in Waxahachie were complaining about this property being missing. So I was like, so about a year after I first heard about it, I received a warrant. And when I went to my lawyer and asked him about it, he said, well, you don't have no warrant. So an incident happened at one of my friend's house, and she called the police, and I had the warrant, and they weren't going to hold me for the warrant, but they picked me up on the warrant, and they took me to Waxahachie, and they charged me with this case.
And this is the theft of scrap metal.
Right, this
Or
is
sheet metal.
no. They charged me with theft over $1.5 million, but less than $3 million. That was my original indictment.
How
Then
much? How many million?
Theft over $1.5 million, but less than $3 million.
But they changed it
Right. Then they changed it.
from 20,000 to 100,000.
Right now, I still was convicted for theft over 100,000, but less than 200,000.
Okay.
Then he changed it again to make it not look so bad when it went down. because the jury, when the jury convicted me, I got convicted for theft over $100,000, but less than $200,000.
Okay. So who testified in that trial to say that he's the one that stole the
No one. The
scrap?
district attorney, Mr. Joe Grubbs, Grubbs, he told my jury the reason that the state had no evidence was because I stole it.
Okay.
It's documented, you can read it. I had the transcript, but I had an accident, and during the process, I lost all my paperwork. But the district attorney told the jury in the closing arguments the reason that the state had no evidence was because I stole it. He told them when I stole it the second time, they never got it back. He told the jury the reason that they can't provide any witnesses is because they don't exist. The business was closed and it was done in the cloak of darkness. He told my jury they can't even put me in the town. I received 43 years for being black in America. And I want the whole world to read this in. All you got to do is document, all you got to do, when you try to pull it up on their computer, they have a wall block. That's how I got this letter. When your office tried to investigate it, they sent me a letter. The letter went back.
Oh, the district attorney's office tried to?
No, this is from the Criminal Justice Department. They gave it to my parole officer. My parole officer hand-delivered that to me last month. And inside, you read it, it'll tell you that I have an important document that they need me to come over here and pick up, right? This important document is them trying to get me to keep from coming on your show and telling you what these people did.
Well, you have a right to express yourself.
Thank you.
I don't know that that's
Man,
a problem. Parole
all
lawyers
you had-
come on here all the time
Right,
and talk
right.
about parole issues
Exactly.
and their clients' cases. So, I mean,
Exactly, no
I don't
problem.
know. I don't know.
Man, it's documented. All you have to do is take the time to read it.
So you, so when you got, how much time did you say you got for that?
I got 43 years. It took me 10 years to parole on it, and I've been wrestling with it for 10 years because when you tell somebody this, it's like you got a horn sticking out your head because it's hard for people to believe it. You know, it's so raw that it's hard for people to actually believe that someone could actually do another individual like this. It takes a lot of hate for you to tell a jury that the defendant stole the evidence. That's why you don't have it.
Yeah, that's a lot.
No.
You need to have some kind of proof other than
Right,
your word. You would hope.
Mine is documented. It ain't nothing you got to guess about this. All you have to do is take the time and read it.
All right, so let's talk about this, Danny. You've had your bouts with the law, and you still deal with the criminal justice system in a positive way. Have you ever heard of a case like this, where if someone goes to trial with no evidence, where he stole the evidence so we don't have it, there's no one there that can say he's the one that did it, so there's no witnesses and there's no fingerprints? I personally have never heard of anything like this.
Well, I had the liberty to read his appeal, and I was curious to see what did the state use as evidence, whether it was good evidence or bad evidence.
The company, okay, when I was supposed to have an accident at the beginning of the trial, okay, when I made it to trial, it was a problem because there's no evidence. So we had to take a recess that like 2 hours. The company went to the company, they manufactured their own evidence, brought it to court. When he called the first witness, it was the company manager. He asked him, did he bring it? He pulled it out of his pocket while he was sitting on the witness stand. He handed him the paperwork. He tagged it as Exhibit A, and that's what he used to work his jelly to get me a conviction. Is what the company said that they manufactured.
That they had and lost.
Right.
So it's basically their purchase order or whatever.
Right. It's saying what they had, what they did for a living, what they said they purchased it for, what they said it cost to repair it, and basically.
But still, once you have exhibit number 1, the invoice to show the value of what they lost, they've got to connect you to the state's burden is to connect you to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that you actually are the one who stole it. So who testified next?
Nobody. The person that they called were the scrap metal companies. The scrap metal companies that they said I sold it to. You know what these same scrap metal companies did with it? They sold it back to the company.
No, but so someone from the scrap metal company did testify and say that you sold it to them.
No.
Well, let me set it up like this so the audience can get a better picture, because I know from reading exactly what you're talking about. But the state alleged that some aluminum molds had been taken
Right.
from Ike Knight, the manager of Life-like Products,
Right.
which is a scrap yard, right?
No, it's a manufacturing company. They make styrofoam. They're a Fortune 500 company.
So we know in the community that if you take aluminum cans to the salvage yard,
Right.
they'll give you money for aluminum
Right.
cans. But as long as you don't have aluminum cans that's more than $25, you're not required to show your state ID or government ID. But anytime you take something to a salvage yard
Like thousands of pounds.
and it's valued over $25, you're required to show some type of identification. So what the state alleged is that these aluminum molds that have been taken, that were taken from the property, weigh between 100 to 200 pounds. So whoever took them to these different facilities
Should have to show ID.
they said they were required to
Is
show
that
ID.
that's
in the report.
So who did they have that?
So they allege in the report that the person image on the ID was that of Mr. Jackson.
But it wasn't his ID. Because you
I
write
don't
down
know,
the purpose of the
but that's
person's
not
ID.
it.
But
you have to ask him that.
Can I stop you right now?
No. Let him finish so I can make sure I understand it. Because
Okay.
you're defending something that the audience doesn't understand.
Right,
So let's
Right.
understand it.
So the state alleging that the person that brought these items in to be sold presented an ID, and that ID was that of Mr. Jackson.
But they didn't. But usually, when you show your ID, the person buying it should have written the ID information down.
No, they took a copy. They
Right, they take a
photocopied-
picture of
They
it. Right.
photocopied it, so they had a copy of the ID.
Okay.
Okay, so if they had a copy of the ID, was it or was it not his ID?
Well, that's you have to ask Mr.
I
Jackson.
mean, it's not addressed.
in there,
in the
well,
appeal?
that's what the evidence. In that
I mean,
was
did it say it was ID of Texas driver's license 54545 by
well, they
Mr.
validated.
Jackson?
Well, they didn't invalidate it was his. They're saying it was his.
Okay.
But they don't prove it. Okay,
But can I say this?
absolutely.
Okay, this happened in Dallas, Texas, where they're saying that I sold the stolen property to, right? Dallas, Texas has no record of this ever happening. Nobody has anything that I ever had my name attached to that was stolen. Dallas, Texas.
No, they're
is where-
saying that you received stolen property.
Right, okay,
That
well-
company is in receipt of stolen property, and you showed your ID. That's what they're saying.
Right, okay, well, if we have some stolen property, don't someone supposed to confiscate it? Don't some property room supposed to have it, right?
That's not what you have to prove that someone stole. You don't have to worry about what happened afterwards. It's did the transaction take place?
Oh, no.
No, I'm just telling you what the
okay.
state has to prove.
Okay.
The state doesn't have to prove that once it was stolen, somebody confiscated
But this
it. That's
is in a whole different city, he's alleging. This is not in Waxahachie. He's alleging that I sold the stolen property in Dallas, Texas.
So that's the wrong county.
Right. Now, Dallas, Texas is where I live. I've never been in Ellis County. So he can't allege I did anything in Ellis County because I ain't never been there.
So why didn't the appeal deal with the lack of jurisdiction? How did they get jurisdiction over a
The
transaction?
good old boys.
So I'm just saying, whoever, but there's an appeal, they should have brought that up. I mean, did they bring that up? That because whoever the company was that said he brought the ID in, they had to be in Ellis County, for that to be where the crime took place. Did you say anything about that, Dan?
So it reads here that said, in order to find Mr. Jackson guilty of theft, the jury was required to find that he acquired or exercised control over the aluminum molds without consent of the owner, but with an intent to deprive the owner of the molds permanently, and that the molds had a value of over $20,000, $100,000. So what they're using
And
is
it has to be in that county, though. That's also an element of the crime. Did they talk about that? I'm looking at it now. I don't see that, but it has to be it has to be in that county. I mean,
So they did say that the jury could have found the essential element of the crime beyond reasonable doubt and rejected Jackson's strategy to create doubt of his guilt based upon the inability of anyone to place him in Waxahachie. The evidence was legally sufficient.
It sounds weak, but I can tell you this: in appeals, and this is what's frustrating about appeals. This is a fact currently. I don't know about back then, but only 0.5% of 1% of cases are reversed.
Exactly. So this is the hardest part. But if you have something
The appeal is the hardest part.
right, if you have something that
'Cause that
does
doesn't really
not
make sense.
exist, period, they don't have anything to put anywhere. It doesn't exist.
Well, it sounds like us just trying to do an exercise. I understand and I
Yeah.
respect you and I believe you.
Right,
But
exactly.
it sounds like what they're trying to say is that some company said they had an invoice, like they bought this product. Another company is saying that they received this product and gave money for it. And so the value was substantiated by the original purchase invoice. And then someone else is saying, so they're saying they were deprived of this $100,000 worth of
True.
sheet mold.
Yeah.
And then another company is saying, I bought it from someone with Mr. Jackson's ID because we kept a copy of it. So this is the person we bought it from. And you're saying that was not your ID.
No, no one actually even said this. This is why I
I'm
can't.
just asking you.
No.
You were in the trial, so I'm just
Yeah,
asking
yes,
you.
no, ma'am.
Did this document, was it your ID, a copy of your
No,
ID?
ma'am. They never showed no documents or no copy. The only evidence that they had was what the company brought to trial.
So they
There's
didn't have. So what Danny's reading in here, there was no exhibit number 2 with the ID.
No, ma'am. There's no exhibit. If you were to get the records, if you read the closing arguments from the district attorney told the jury before they went to deliberation that the state had no evidence. Okay, so he told them before they went to deliberate that there is no evidence, that there is no witnesses, and he can't put me in the town. Now, they had to cover themselves to make this look, when you go to look at it legally, okay? But if you get the closing arguments, that's why they won't let your computer go in it. The closing arguments where the district attorney instructed the jury before they went to trial, the deliberation, he straight up told them there's no evidence. I can't put him in the town, and there are no witnesses. That's from the DA's mouth. Okay, this is the district attorney instructing the jury before they go into deliberation.
I understand I understand how you feel.
Right.
Have you talked to any of the Innocence Projects to see if
Right, all of them tell me they need blood, they only do
They do,
DNA, you know.
they do it DNA? That is
Right.
what they do.
And basically all of them do DNA, so.
Because they're trying to get people out of prison.
Right,
You're already
I'm
out.
already out, so
You've done
then it
16 and a
falls
half
on-
years, but you're already out of prison.
Right, so it's.
But that's their focus because they
Right,
have to
they
get
have
grant
people they're
funding.
trying to save lives.
Yeah, they're trying to
right.
keep people
they,
getting killed.
that they actually trying to kill.
Right.
You know, and they're
Kill
trying to
or
save-
stay in jail for
Right, or
life.
stay in jail from now on. By me being out, I had to do it on my own, and me up against power and money. These people play for millions of dollars. This is not no little money. They disguising it for this little change that they're talking about. But these people play these people for millions of dollars. This is an insurance job. They collected millions. This is a Fortune 500 company. Okay, they fill $1 million orders. These molds that they're talking about that I supposedly acquired are their manufacturing equipment. So you're talking about millions of dollars that they said they lost. They wanted to get their money back. So they orchestrated this here to make it look like it's an actual crime. But you can't even place me in the town. I have never been in the town. He's talking about something that occurred in Dallas County. Dallas County would know something about me selling anything stolen in Dallas County.
I understand your frustration. This is what I'm trying to think of. So you're telling me that the person who testified to say that they received this merchandise and paid somebody money with this ID was not located in Ellis County.
No, they all
And you're
came.
saying, let me make sure.
Okay,
Make sure.
okay.
And you're also saying the person who had the invoice, who testified that they originally bought the product and had it delivered, wasn't in Dallas County. I mean, in Ellis County. So neither party had businesses in Ellis County.
What I want to ask you is,
No, I want to ask you.
Okay.
Answer my question.
Okay.
So did the person that came in with the invoice, exhibit number 1, was that business in Ellis County?
right, that's the company.
Okay, so that company, so that's why the case was in Ellis County.
Right, that's the company.
That's fine. That's
Right.
fine. I just want to get it clear for
Right.
our viewers because it's
Right.
not clear.
All right,
You're
that's
going
the,
to the part,
the
the fact
company
you want to-
manager brought the
Right.
evidence.
So I just want to, as a lawyer, I need
I
to
understand.
understand why Ellis County had jurisdiction. So now we understand because the actual company
is in Ellis County.
who incurred the loss, the $1 million loss,
Right.
was in Ellis County. Okay, so
Exactly.
that's why. So the next element that they have to prove is that you're the person that deprived them of this $1 million worth of property. And the way that
Exactly.
they proved it in the trial, according to what I'm hearing you say, was from having the person at the scrap metal,
They sent the records people there.
their records people from scrap metal saying that They
They
purchased.
didn't know nothing about nothing.
Right. Well,
All of them
that's
testified.
normal.
Right.
Well, that's normal in trial. You send the custodian of records for your company so they
Right.
can testify that we kept these records in the normal course of business, so that we did pay somebody on this date for that metal in the normal course of business, and we took this person's ID. That is normal.
The people that they allegedly the same people sold the same thing that they said I stole back to the company, and they wrote checks for it. It's in the invoices that he brought, is where he paid for the metal from the companies that
Be returned.
to be returned, and he left town with it. They saying 2 weeks later it came up missing again, and they never got it back.
Did you represent yourself, or did you have an attorney?
No, I had an attorney, but he was a little old man. He was scared to death. The man, I thought he was gonna kill him.
Was he on a retainer, or was he court appointed?
No, court appointed. They wouldn't let me have the retainer. When I called my lawyer to try to get a lawyer, they kept telling him there wasn't no case because there was no case on the computer. When I made bond, I went home, I got on my lawyer. I went to Harry. I said, look, Harry, something's wrong. Harry said, there's no record. We got in such a big argument that he took me to the county clerk's office.
In Ellis County.
No, in
Ellis
Dallas.
County. Because it would have to be on the county clerk's office in Ellis County.
Right, it's no record of it, period. They don't even have a record of me ever being arrested in the town, period. I never been in the town. I have never been arrested in Ellis County, period.
So I do see this as factual, that when you say, because according to the detective that investigated the crime, they didn't find any fingerprints. They saw that a car maybe was there, but they couldn't get any tire prints. So the detective that investigated the case concluded that he had no physical evidence linking anyone to the crime.
And what they're telling you is 100 pounds. This stuff weighs thousands of pounds. You have to have a forklift to move this. This is manufacturing equipment. These people make like 100 cups, your styrofoam cups, at one time. So you're talking about products that weigh thousands of pounds. It's nothing, no 100 pounds on here.
So let me, because I did read it, and I did try to grasp your perspective of innocence. And I looked at it, it's saying that if I didn't steal something,
Right.
and I came in possession of something, and I profited from it, and then someone would come to me a later date and say, I'm going to charge you with theft. And I'm saying, wait a minute, I didn't steal anything.
Right.
And if I turn a profit for it, even if I'm in possession of it, if you can't prove and put me at the place of where this was taken, how do you charge me with theft because I'm a possession of something that belonged to someone else?
Thank you for bringing that point. Now, you said possession of. Nobody has me in possession of anything. I have never been arrested in
Did you take the
possession.
witness stand?
No. I went to when they did the punishment phase. Okay, I never took the witness stand. There's nobody that, when they called all the witnesses, everyone testified they had no knowledge of any involvement, if I ever had it, if I ever was in possession of anything.
No, I know you probably did it at the advice of your lawyer. Just curious, why didn't you testify so you could tell this story that you're saying to try to convince the jury that you didn't have anything to do with this?
Well, the way that they had set it up, I did not think, the lawyer kept telling me, well, they don't have any witnesses, they don't have any evidence. He kept telling me there's no, okay, when you have to wait 2 hours for the company manager to bring their evidence to trial,
Right.
he's telling me there's no evidence. So why would I not believe him if I see the company manager make their own evidence and bring it to trial?
Right.
Because I've always believed that when trial starts, the evidence is not supposed to be late for trial.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things your lawyer, a lawyer could do in a situation is that it ask for a continuance so that they can investigate the evidence that's
No,
there.
they couldn't ask for no continuance because if that had happened, I would have been gone. Because I had some other things that was taking place, they wouldn't have been able to hold me. That's why I was only in jail 6 days.
Well, since
and I
this is an educational show, I'm telling the people who might be listening, if any lawyers are listening or anybody that finds himself in the same situation, you should investigate all evidence against you in a trial, not during the trial, but before the trial. So if evidence comes in, there should be an objection launched that it's not timely if you requested it, and because you need to investigate something, because you need to investigate whether they've ever sold that. I mean, just bringing a receipt to show that they have ever, the company bought this, you need to see where if investigate their books to see if that same item has ever been sold by legitimately.
I agree with you 200%.
So let me point out some other things. Because the audience doesn't have privy to what I have.
Right. You don't have.
So there's 3 different businesses that received this property, and although all 3 businesses are saying that they show the sale made by someone with ID showing Jackson, not one of them said that they could physically identify you as the person.
And they're probably never saying that his ID is that of the man in court. I mean, there's a lot of Jacksons. That's a very common name.
Right. So it's nothing showing that someone got on the stand and said, not only is this a person that we have a copy of his driver's license, I can say that that's the exact man that came in.
Right. Exactly.
And also, I'm going to point this out now, and I'll digress. There was also another man arrested for the sales of these same molds taken from this facility, but sold at different locations, not one of these 3.
Wow. For stealing, they're actually stealing them or for selling them?
So some of the same molds that they allege he sold,
they're saying someone else sold.
well, they have someone that's arrested that sold them at different locations, but they could not connect them 2 together.
Wow, that's deep.
So were you aware of this individual that was arrested and charged for the same
Only
crime?
thing I know, I was trying to get out of the county jail. The next thing I know, I was handcuffed, and I was going to Ellis County, and the people charged me with a crime I ain't never heard of before. Okay? When I confronted these people and told these people, how can you charge me for something that don't exist? They told me they could do what they want to me. I'm black. I don't have no rights. And that's exactly what they done. They did exactly what they wanted to me. There are no witnesses. There are no evidence. And I ain't never been in the town. I was kidnapped and railroaded by the state of Texas, and they're walking around now afraid that it's going to get out, because if you just read, the district attorney cannot tell the jury that the defendant stole the evidence. And it's documented. The district attorney told my jury the reason the state had no evidence is because I stole it. He told them when I stole it the second time, they never got it back. That's out of his mouth. All you got to do is read his closing arguments. The district attorney, Joe Grubbs, told the jury out of his mouth the reason the state had no evidence is because the defendant stole it. Now, if he tells my jury
So was that supposed to indicate that there was some kind of inside job, since
yes, it's
allegedly that you stole the same evidence twice?
Thank you. How is this possible for me to steal the same thing twice?
I don't know, but let me ask you this. This sounds very frustrating, and I'd be mad too if I felt the way you do. What I'm asking you is that at 63, what are you gonna do? I mean, can you let go? Can you let go and live your life? I know you've given up a lot of your life.
When I get letters, they're telling me I need to come and
But you're good with parole? You go?
Right. I don't have no problem with the parole, but I don't.
Now, what made you parole in Houston instead of Dallas?
I was too close. They keep trying to make things happen to me. Okay, I've been having a lot of accidents, because they really don't want the public to know about this. So you know how they do us. Now, I'm black, I'm convicted felon, and I know y'all played the system for millions of dollars. I'm tired. I had to look over my shoulder all the time.
Is that why you're in Houston?
Right, that's why I'm in Houston. I had to look over my shoulder all the time if I'm too close to these people. Because put yourself in their position. You have someone who may be able to take away all your nice things. Because if he gets out what you done, then you're in trouble. So
but
what
that
would you do?
presupposes that the people who are doing it care. If it's really that diabolical, do they care?
They had to. I got a letter saying.
I'm just saying, can you say both things? I'm just asking. Can people throw you away because they don't care, and then care that you tell people? Because the whole world knows in a trial, that's an open forum where anybody can see it. It's public record.
I wish you would try.
I'm just asking you. If they didn't care then, why would they care now?
Society has changed, and they used to getting away with it. Now society has become more aware.
Let me make sure I understand. I just want to make sure I understand. Maybe I'm missing it because I know sometimes I'm.
Oh, no, I appreciate you.
I want to understand why you're in Houston. Did you understand why he lives in Houston versus Dallas? I'm just still trying to understand that. Maybe I missed it.
No, but the thing about it is the age of the case is something that I keep looking at, And
This is
because
1998.
when I go back to 1997, I have to really, really reflect on what was going on in my life at that time. And that, of course, I myself am a former incarcerated
Right,
person.
exactly. So you know what I'm talking
I went to TDC 3 different times.
about. Right.
And um, I don't know if I feel any kind of way about what I experienced then is because I get a chance to experience something new today.
Right, exactly.
And I was a lot different back then. I
Right,
see things a lot different.
Right, we all had to grow and change. You know, you stagnate if you stay the same. You know, you have to reach above adversity and misery. You can't let someone steal your joy because every day should be a blessing and it should be a happy day. Don't let anything that's bad or sad carry over. You have to forgive, you have to move on. It's
Do
that.
you go to church now?
Yes, it's
Where
that.
do you go?
Most of the time I go with my friend at golly, you caught my whole chain of thought off with that. Missionary Baptist, golly.
Would you be interested in visiting our church?
Oh, yes. Thank you for
St.
the
John's United Methodist Church.
Okay, where are you?
It's downtown at the corner of Crawford and West Gray.
Crawford and West Gray. Okay, well,
Well, not West Gray. Yeah, Crawford
End.
and Gray. Down at Midtown by St. Joseph's Hospital. It's St. John's United Methodist. There's
Oh, okay,
quite
I know
a few,
exactly where
yeah.
you are. Yeah.
They used to feed the homeless or still
Right, yeah, they still do. I see them lined up
feed the
like,
homeless.
right,
And then
exactly.
Danny runs one of the programs there, which they meet on Thursday nights for people who are formerly incarcerated or interested in someone being incarcerated.
Right.
The Lazarus Project.
Right, I'm a social person. I feel I have a lot to give. You know, my experience.
I think you
know,
would benefit from
right, my
the
experience in
religious
life.
camaraderie that these
Right,
people
you know,
have.
right. Be around.
Would you be interested in doing that?
Yes, I like
What time
positive
is that
things.
program on Thursday?
It's on from 5:30 to 7. And what I'm listening from your story is it's an opportunity to educate and mentor people that had
Still struggling with the adversities.
well,
or
it's a lot of young
Right, I
young,
see it every day.
When you use the term and saying that because of our skin color,
Right.
that the system is not set up for us. Well, that's a message that maybe some young people need to hear based on your experience
Right.
and what happened to you.
Because what I see a lot of them do, they get so mad that when you get angry, you stop thinking. And when you get angry and stop thinking, that's when you make your major mistakes because you can't control anger. So I try to teach them that you have to let things go because it's going to always be something. You know, it's not going to be a
And
day.
also because there are things, we still have a huge racial divide in America.
And it's growing.
Even worse because of Trump is encouraging
Right,
it
it's
and
growing.
not discouraging it. But we all have to have a seat at the table to change things.
Right.
Change comes hard.
We had to, and
And
it's
so
nothing's
that's
easy.
why I'm in the DA's office, proud to be there. I
Yeah,
hate
I'm
crime.
thankful
I
for
hate
you.
violent crime.
Yes.
I want to work to make things fairer for everybody.
Exactly.
But definitely do the right thing as it relates to public safety. However, all of us play a part.
Exactly.
And so your part can be played or participate with Danny, who plays his part to give back to society.
Right, exactly.
Through the church, through mentorship, through the camaraderie of people who have been formerly incarcerated to uplift their daily spirit so that we can rise above it because, you know, as everyone says,
Right.
there's more years behind us than in front of us. So
yes.
we gotta use our energy positively.
And I enjoy the ability because my best friend's a doctor, you know,
kind
and
of
a podiatrist. And to get a person like that we have such different backgrounds, you know, to be able to mentor and show another individual the beauty of enjoying life instead of finding misery and discomfort in it, you know, because it's always going to be something.
Well, your maturity would be very helpful to
It's-
our ministry, don't
it's
you
gonna
think?
always be something.
I like to ask you, how did this change you once you got out of? You say you did 10 years. So during those 10 years,
The last time, yeah. 6 years before, six and a half.
yeah.
Years on
Well, I
16
went to
total.
college. You know, I stayed positive. My mission was to overcome the obstacle. You know, because it was like a challenge to me to be released and to make parole. Therefore, I could go forward in my journey in life. You know, and that I would have a story to tell, and I would be able to enlighten other people when they see they became discouraged. That God is good. God will make a way when no man will, you know. But you have to have the patience and you have to wait. And sometimes we all become impatient and we want it right yesterday instead of, waiting for our blessing to come. And once you realize that the beauty of being awakened every day, because we all get caught up in chasing material things, and once you come to the understanding that you can be thankful for the things that you have, to be able to get out of your bed in the morning and no one had to help you, to wash your face, to brush your teeth, to be able to see where you're going, to feed yourself, to feel. You got people that got all type of money, can't even get out their bed in the morning. We are truly blessed when we wake up in the morning and we're able to get up and take care of our own needs and go about our daily goals. And we take all these things for granted because we're so busy chasing the American dream. What happened if you lose all your materialistic things? We just had that happen, a month or so ago? And people are still in shock because they worship things.
So what I'm hearing you saying that what came out of those 10 years in prison is a change of perception in your values.
Right, exactly.
So you see more value in your health and being able to do things than what maybe you have, that me and you both maybe didn't take advantage of during our years in incarceration.
Right, exactly. Because, I always had that ability to be positive because I always was a trustee. I was always around them. Okay, so being positive because it opens more doors than anybody can be negative. Anybody can be ignorant. But when you strive to rise above it, when you strive to get a better understanding of yourself, because a lot of us, we forget to love ourselves. Because until you can love yourself, you can't love anyone else. And you have to love yourself with all your own faults because none of us are perfect. You have to stand in the mirror and you have to tell yourself, okay, if I'm going to pass judgment, let me judge myself first. And by the time you get through judging yourself, you shouldn't have no time to go judge nobody else.
And so since that last encounter with law enforcement, have you had any encounter with law enforcement?
It's been like 10 years, yeah.
And you've been
So
out?
how do you think you're going to do, because you're basically on parole for the rest of your life.
Yes.
So how do you feel about that?
I feel a whole lot better now because now they don't have the incentive to try to go out and do anything to keep me from having it out. Now it's out. So I no longer have to worry about something occurring and then they're saying, oh, well, he's gone now. Now the society knows. Now, if something happens, oh, well, I'll put it in God's hand. God has brought me this far because I was thrown in the bottomless pit. And I still rose above it. I still came out. There's a lot of people I've seen that couldn't handle the type of pressure that you receive when you get an abundance of time. If they let the time do them instead of letting the time do itself. And when you try to put fault on other people about your own mistakes or whatever happened to you, it's an extra burden that you have to carry. And you have to let go because every day is going to be something.
Have you let go?
Oh, yes. It's just that I have the same headache. When you went in their computer to check letter from them wanting to holler at me, okay? This is what I had to deal with because they're afraid. They done something wrong. I can live with the fact that I already had a bunch of time, so that was no big issue to me. The big issue to me was them trying to hurt me all the time, okay?
Like what?
Killing me. They tried to kill me twice the day of trial.
How?
Well, the morning of the trial, when we got to the courthouse, I hadn't been in jail but 6 days. So I knew something was wrong. So they were arguing. And I'm a street person. I know life. And I see the deputies arguing, and the woman looked at me like somebody killed a dog. Because only one took me. It's 4 of them here, only one takes me. So when we get to the courthouse, which is like 2 blocks up the street, they had a statue of General Lee in front of the courthouse. So the officer, he takes all the restraints off of me.
Oh, so they want you to run.
Right, when we're in the parking lot, he takes the restraints off and he tells me, he adjusts his pistol, he opens the door, lets the window down, he tells me he can watch me walk across the courtyard to the back door to the courthouse. So when he loosens me up, I just walk up to him. I'm not going up. You got me. And to court we go. So when we get to court, that's what caused another problem. This is why we had to take the recess, because there's no evidence I'm not supposed to get to trial.
Or was it because you weren't restrained, properly restrained?
No, they was going to kill me. Okay, now, during trial, when he had gave it to the jury, when he had told them, he was so agitated.
No, he is the prosecutor?
Right. District Attorney Joe Grubbs. He was so agitated that he had my attorney by his shirt collar and his tie, and he was shaking him like a rag doll.
Wow.
And he was telling him if he ever wanted to work in this town again, he better get me to take something. So he was telling him, no, he wanted to ask him. And when he asked me, I like to get killed again, because I talked about his mama.
Oh, Lord.
The only thing stopped me from dying was the woman opened the door to go use the restroom at the jury booth, because he was pulling his pistol to kill me in court. And the woman opened the door, God stepped in, she opened the door, and when she stepped out, he had to put the pistol back in.
Did they ever offer you some time?
Well, I wouldn't take it.
Did they ever offer you some time?
No. No, they were mad at me because they felt that I had beat them. And we talking about millions of dollars here. They try to disguise it and decorate it like it, but we're talking about millions of dollars. These people played the system for millions. What they're telling
You feel that you're a scapegoat.
Right, I
for
took the
some type
fall.
of insurance fraud.
It is an insurance fraud. It ain't no possible to it. It's an insurance fraud.
But why did they, so if there's an insurance fraud, I'm just curious why you think that they could have just said it was stolen and never figured out who stole it.
Because they said when it got stolen again.
Oh, because it got stolen twice.
Right. That's what pissed them off. Okay, when it comes stolen.
Did you notice anything about that?
It didn't mention.
He's saying that when it got stolen again, that's when they were upset and mad, because now they ain't got nothing. Okay, so now they need somebody to
But
take
why didn't,
the
when if they got it sold back to them and it was a valuable commodity, why didn't somebody buy it? I mean, I don't understand that part of it. If you're manufacturing something that people buy.
It's the manufacturing equipment. It's what
it's the
they
equipment.
use to manufacture it with.
Equipment. Like
Right.
you said, you can't just move that without forklifts
Like
and
they
big
look,
pieces.
they'll make a bottle and they'll
Got it.
make 100 of them at one time.
Got it. So they're saying
So
that
this
their
deal is
the mold is the equipment.
Right.
Got it,
The
got it.
mold is big as this room. I mean,
Got it.
you got
So
to
you
have
can't just move that.
No, you can't pick this up.
And one person's supposed to be responsible for stealing that. That doesn't make sense. How would they get it out of
He
there?
told the people that
But
I
how
threw
did
it.
they? How would they
He
expect you to
told
get it out of there?
He
I
said
just
that.
want to ask. How did they expect for you to get it out of there?
He said I threw it over an 8-foot fence with razor ribbon.
But how much did it weigh?
About 3,000 pounds.
So you threw it over a window. Does that sound crazy?
Well, yeah, the report said they allegedly weighed between 100 and 200 pounds, but still, though, for one person
That's too
to
much. Throw something over a fence,
A
and then
8-foot
get
fence
back
with
over
razor-
a fence, and then take it off, haul it off. You got to have a lot of equipment to do that.
right, so,
8-foot fence with razor ribbon on top of it.
right.
Wow. Well, it sounds like your defense could have been a little stronger with more
The
proof,
little old man was scared to death.
with more proof of the weight, and they could have brought some demonstrative evidence in.
They had Robert E. Lee. I went to white supremacy court. I want the whole world to know it. I went to hateful hate. It take a
So
lot
what
of
can we
hate.
do? What can we do as concerned citizens to make sure no young person is convicted with that little of evidence in the future? What do you think you can do or we can do?
They're killing us on the streets and getting away with it.
Yeah, but I don't want to talk about the bad stuff because we
Well,
know it. I'm just saying, what can we do in the courtroom? Can you
Cameras.
Cameras. Yeah. Well, can you? I mean, another thing groups can do is watch courts. Make sure.
Right. You had to
us
go in there
honest.
with a video
Keep us
camera.
honest.
You had to go in there with a video camera and video these people.
Yeah, well, they don't allow video cameras in court 'cause it's distracting.
right,
But people can go there and take notes.
Right, and take
keep
notes.
us
and
honest.
see.
Keep us honest.
Right, 'cause
yes,
that's
you
what
do
it
that.
takes. Because
it's a
if
public
you
forum.
don't have anyone in there, they have open season on us. And it's just not us. It's anybody that don't have money.
Right, yeah, it can
'cause
be anybody.
It don't no color no more. If you ain't got no funds, you is done. Just that simple.
Would you agree that having priors doesn't help us when we
No, nothing helps you when you go up against these people. I mean,
are we on current parole, and they have tried to put another case on us? I'm already up on a current conviction. Do you think that the jury, if they have knowledge of that would kind of sway them one way or another?
What I look at the way our society is now, you're guilty until proven innocent. That's what our society is. You know, when you walk in as a minority, you're guilty. Now it's up to you to prove that you're innocent, and that doesn't always occur.
So if me and you were mentoring young people, and when we tell them if you start off on probation, that it's easy for you to end up on parole, based
Exactly.
on
Because
that you
if-
already have a history
I
with
remember
probation.
a lot of friends that I have now that I call myself giving it back to. And I talk to them on a daily basis, and I tell them that you don't get away with anything. It's called karma. We all experience it. A lot of people think that you don't have karma, but we all have karma. So you're going to see whatever it is you did again. So if you go through life thinking that you're going to do something wrong each and every day, you're in for a rude awakening, because sooner or later it's going to catch up with you. That's just life. And I try to teach people life's lessons. I have a friend now, I had to tell him the simple truth that why would you get married if you want to cheat?
Okay, the question he said again is, why would you get married if you want to cheat? Wives all over the world want to know that. I wanted to know that when I was a wife 2 times. But anyway,
Because if you don't get married, it ain't cheating.
it ain't cheating.
It's just dating.
It's
Right,
dating.
okay, but
That's right.
we all have...
Did you
that's
answer that $50 million question?
It is a $50 million question, because I basically know why he done it. He had got in trouble. She's a good girl. She make good money. He didn't want to be alone. He wanted a pen pal while he was in, but it didn't work out. He didn't. And now he's telling me, okay, well, you have a woman that's helping you live in a 5-bedroom house. Okay.
That's what he has.
Right. Why would you want a woman that can't even fix her own nails?
Well, we say it like this: to married men that I hang around, if you have a diamond, why would you pick up a rock?
Thank you.
Tell me. I want to know why, if you have a diamond, you
Thank
would
you.
pick up a rock. That's happened to me multiple
Thank you.
times in my life. So
Yes,
tell me.
exactly.
I want to
Because
know
you're
the
definitely
answer.
a diamond. So,
Yeah,
I don't know.
That comes to we have to look.
But
we have to look at our character and our values.
we all want something that don't want us. It's just a fact of life. We all are attracted to something
But
that
if you're
don't
already
want us.
married, you got your diamond, right? So
You would assume.
So what else is there to be attracted to? You talking outside the box. Just for the record, I want to make sure you went to prison in 1998 and you got out in
08.
2008. So you've been out since 08, and I just want to make sure I'm clear. You paroled to Houston because you just did not want to go back to Dallas. I want you to tell me in a sentence that I can understand, because I don't understand your answer before. So why did you parole to Houston versus Dallas?
Well,
Since
Houston
you're from Dallas.
Okay, Houston is so much bigger. They have a much more problem with trying to make me have an accident, because basically I have to look over my shoulder because
So you feel like there's an X on your back and you have more. The opportunity to be fair is greater in Houston.
right. I don't have.
You think Dallas is less fair?
No, it's not that I'm saying the justice system has anything to do with it.
Okay.
I'm saying that I'm close proximity to the people who actually want to do me harm. When people have tried to kill
You're
you.
close to people that want to kill you here in Houston?
No, in Dallas. See, the place where I went to court is like 30 miles.
Right.
See, from here.
But you
is
think that
300.
you think that prosecutor's still there?
Yes, he
still
just.
there?
Yes, he just recently got some indecent exposure cases.
Himself?
I want to interject this.
Wait a minute, He got the case on him, or he prosecuted it?
No, on him.
Is it current pending, or is it?
Well, it's on the deal. It's on his bill. If you pull up his deal on it.
So maybe a little.
When you say his deal, you mean like the state bar, or you mean
Right,
like
you're right. Well, you know how people complain, and they had a process where you could pull it up.
on Google or something?
Right, you can Google him and pull it up.
Well, I want to think that this is why I believe he made a good decision. Because if I went back to my county, no matter how long I stay out, if someone is robbing or doing something that fits sort of like the MO, what the detectives do is
Right.
they look in the files and say, do we have anybody that
To
have
fit the, right.
On
that-
parole.
Right.
that's done this,
Right.
this bill or anything? Oh, you remember that guy Danny? This sounds like something Danny, and that has actually happened to me
Wow.
in my county. So he does have a point, and
Okay.
he's been out 9 years now.
Yeah.
So I think he's made a great decision to change his environment
Right.
and give himself a better opportunity here in Houston versus in the county he was convicted in. I digress.
Right. Well, I wasn't convicted in Dallas. I was convicted up the
We
street.
understand. We understand.
But-
30 miles away in LA
right.
County,
So
Waxahachie, Texas.
the repercussion, when you have someone who has done something and they have the subconscious, because we all have consciences. Okay, he know he done something wrong. Okay, I'm a threat to him because I know it. Okay, they do not value our lives. Okay, it's easier for him to pick up the phone and say, well, we need to throw something on him, or, you just pull him over or whatever, there it is, So to keep me from having to endure those type of situations, to move farther away, he don't have the same type of pull because they have the good old boy system when they're closer. See, they intertwined. And see, this whole area is like a good old boy system. Houston is bigger. They don't have the same. They had a good old boy system, but it's not as close knitted. See, a lot of people don't know that the Grand Wizard stays in Waxahachie. See, a lot of people don't know what the Grand Wizard is. But that's where he stays.
I thought he was the president.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's the world that we live in now. Yeah, that's the world that we live in right now. Sure
It's a scary world. When
It's
I turn
very-
on the news and I see that we might have
It's
World
like-
War III, I'm like, what the
it's
heck
like,
is
It's
going
like
on?
you're addicted. It's like it's a new drug to see what has he done now.
It's a reality show. We've got
Thank you.
addicted. And
Right. It's
the
like
hell of it is he might win again because people are addicted to the drama. How
Right.
can a president actually lead now in a normal fashion when he's raised the bar to something crazy and chaotic like
When
he
you
is
can
now? I'm
call,
scared.
when you can
Well, we
call
have
people,
normalized bad
We got 30
behavior.
Thank you.
seconds.
We-
Okay, go ahead. Yes. You want to try to take like a little closing statement? you
Yes,
wanna
I would like
leave with.
I would like to thank all of you for your time, and I would like to thank the audience. And I want people to understand that whatever you're going through, don't give up. Maintain a positive attitude and keep your faith in God because He'll see you through.
All right. What's your closing statement?
If you have a family member here that's recently released from jail or prison or still in jail and prison, we have a program here in Houston, the Lazarus Project. It's a supportive group for recent releases men and women. We're located at 2019 Crawford Street. That is St. John's Downtown Methodist Church, where me and Vivian are both members. Again, we want to thank Vivian for creating a platform for persons like me
Thank
and
you.
you to tell our story.
Right, exactly.
We hope that it inspires someone to see
Right.
that there's life out there in incarceration.
Right. Don't
Well-
give up hope.
Yeah, and let me just say this as a closing statement too. Thank you for watching. I've been doing this show. Next month, November, will be 7 years, 6. Well, starting in 11. Yes, how many years is that? I can't add anymore. 6 years.
6 years, yeah.
I've been doing it for 6 years now. It's my pleasure to do it. I do it every 2 weeks now. Next week, we will be back to talk about, in 2 weeks, we'll be back to talk about current events. Thank you for watching Truth and Justice with Vivian King. Good night.